Hey guys, today I'm working on a 2003 F250 Super Duty with a straight axle. I want to go over the ball joint sequence, the caster camber alignment bushings. You can't really mess them up. They're meant to only be in one direction. If you want to change your caster camber angle, you need to change the bushing. I always make sure they're loose before I install the new ball joints. After cutting up quite a few ball joints, I know that the weight of the ball joints that's taken up by the vehicle is the downward pressure. So when we put this knuckle in place, we're going to take a floor jack and we're going to jack it up to hold it so it's snug. Okay, so now we have the pressure of the jack pushing up on the knuckle to help seat the lower ball joint, because that's our main focus right now. Once the lower ball joint is seated, then we're going to torque it to 35 pounds. The upper ball joint we're going to torque to 69 pounds. Now before I torque the upper ball joint, the caster camber bushing, I want it to be seated, because it's almost like a pinch ring. You know, it's there to expand. So once the ball joints are set, if it's not fully seated, it's going to allow for movement on the upper ball joint. I think that's where a lot of people get confused. So I make sure that the caster camber bushing is movable. But if I put the caster camber bushing all the way down and I try to tighten the lower ball joint, yes, I do have a lot of downward pressure on the upper, but I don't have all the downward pressure, or I could take a chance of pulling the lower ball joint, or the manufacturer's, the pressed seam. I take a chance at stretching it. Once you stretch it, that's going to allow for movement, making it seem as if a brand new ball joint failed. So here we're just going to take the same socket. We got plenty of depth, and we're going to tap it down. There. hear it. If you can't hear it, it'll stop you. You don't want to beat it down, because then you're just going to cause extra wear inside the cup of the ball joint. So we don't want to get excessive. Now that we have this one in place, we're going to tighten it down to 69 foot-pounds. Now, our cotter pin hole does not line up. I'm not going to loosen it, I'm going to tighten it. That way it further seats my ball joint. We're gonna go now to 150 pounds, 150 foot-pounds. Then once the bottom is brought up, it should have the equal amount of pressure between the two. So that way when you set the vehicle down, all the weight is on the bottom part of the ball joint. Because these ball joints are they're only meant to put the weight directly on them. So theoretically, that bushing keeps that ball joint in place. I mean, obviously that's what it's supposed to do. Now we're set at 150 foot-pounds. We're just going to torque the lower in place, and then we'll see where we're at. Okay, you may not have seen it, but you can hear it. That's 150 foot-pounds. Now, both ball joints should be seated, both of them should be in place, and we shouldn't have any issues whatsoever. I'm going to reduce the pressure off of the jack. There it is. Now, the knuckle should be fairly stiff, which it is. Then on to the rest of the install. Thank you for watching.